As a child, did you ever hear of the story of the little fig tree who desperately wanted to grow up fast into a big, tall tree like the others surrounding him? He continually finds himself in an awkward situation in which he is neither young enough to be pampered nor old enough to be taken seriously. He becomes so obsessed by the thought that he fails to see all the beautiful things around him and misses out on the beautiful life he is living. Till one day he gets uprooted from his place and gets to experience life as a decoration tree on a fine Christmas night, only to be thrown into the attic the latter and left to rot, till finally he gets hauled out, cut into small pieces and used up for a bonfire. In the story, the fig tree comes across as delusional, confused, neglected, rejected, worried about height and looks, dissatisfied, incapable of facing the reality or seeing the goodness around him, and near impossible to please or be convinced. Do these characteristics sound much too familiar to you? Does it more or less sound like yourself or someone else whom you know? Yes, teenagers are very much like this little fig tree, going through a difficult and confusing phase of life that they cannot understand or come to terms with. Only those teenagers who survive this phase go on to finally understand what their adolescent years was all about, and that it was never as difficult as it seemed to be. But now you have a better chance to understand your teenage years, and thereby be better prepared and go through it more successfully. Teenage challenges.
My parents never seem to understand me. According to them, whatever I do is wrong.
She's hardly around the house. She spends all her time with her friends doing God knows what. I don't recognize my own child anymore. It is like I'm dealing with a stranger.
Adolescence is the period during which a child changes from a kid into an adult. This period spreads over several years, commonly known as the teenage years. The adolescent age begins with puberty. What happens during puberty is that the hormone levels rise and the body begins to undergo physical changes that become more defined with passing years, turning a boy into a man and a girl into a woman. The adolescent phase is a difficult one for both the teenagers and their parents to handle, but mutual cooperation, support and a heart-to-heart talk can go a long way in making things easier. Your peers and friends can be of great support, help and fun. They often come from varied backgrounds and cultures, and that makes it all the more interesting and exciting. Not to mention, they can have a profound influence on your life. At times, though, these influences can be negative and you start feeling the pressure from your peers. So, you're not a wimp, are you? Prove it to us. We dare you to spend a night in the graveyard behind us.
You do know this graveyard is supposed to be haunted with evil spirits at night, don't you? Brave them and show to us that you are no coward.
The pressure on you can be to try something new, adventurous, scary, or even wrong against your will. This can also include incidents like bunking classes, breaking into someone's locker, stealing, consuming liquor, smoking cigarettes, taking drugs, engaging in sexual activities, and such. Giving in to such pressures can land you into serious trouble with parents, school authorities, and even the law authorities in the long run. This is when you have to know to draw the line and avoid such peers. Remember that pleasing your friends and peers is never worth it, at the cost of ruining your life, future, and relationship with family. We all feel sad at several points in our lives, but after a certain period of time, we tend to find the strength to put it behind us and move on. It is when the sorrowful period persists for a lengthy amount of time that you begin to drag yourself into a depression. Most of the youngsters go into a depression but don't seek any help, mainly because they don't know how to.
Depression causes people to feel bad about the situation or themselves, spend lesser and lesser time with family and friends, lose interest and stop carrying on an active life, be aloof and withdrawn, have problems with work and studies, given to addictions like alcohol, tobacco and drugs.
Cause of depression can be one or many, like loss of a loved one, breakdown of relationships, or even excessive boredom in general. Here is what you can do to help yourself out of depression. Talk about your feelings to someone you trust. See a psychologist, psychiatrist or counselor. Undergo some therapies that will help you cope better with your feelings. Exercise or do some rigorous physical activity. Maintain a healthy diet. Get sufficient sleep and don't stay up nights. Try relaxation techniques such as meditation and yoga. Continue with your daily routine no matter what. Make it your goal to rid yourself of your depression and work towards it.
In order to manage your anger, better be aware of what you are feeling and thinking and why.
Do not react immediately. Wait for some time before you respond to the anger-inducing entity in a suitable manner.
Imagine how ugly, nasty and frightful you will look if you completely give in to your anger.
Reflect for a second if you really want to say or do those things you do when you are angry.
Think how much energy will be wasted on being angry.
Ask yourself if your anger will bring any positive change to the situation.
Displace or vent your anger such that it doesn't harm any person or thing.
Here are some interesting techniques to giving vent to your pent-up anger in a harmless and effective manner. Try counting from 1 to 10 or from 1 to 20 in your head before you respond to the anger-causing person or thing. Get yourself away from the cause of anger and try taking out your anger at some inanimate object like a football or any such thing. Write down all your angry thoughts and feelings on a piece of paper and then focus all your angry energy in tearing up that paper into as tiny bits as possible. Listen to some soothing music, any kind of music that you like till your anger subsides. Get yourself to a secluded or deserted place and give vent to your pent-up anger in the form of a gut-wrenching scream.